Hello, and welcome to the Stat Nerd Draft Report. I am your host, Patrick Oxford, and today with me I have Rafael Barlowe, founder of NBA Draft Junkies, an awesome site you can go check out at nbadraftjunkies.com. For sure, check it out because I'm looking at it right now, and he's got some awesome interactive stuff. You need to check it out. So today I have Rafael Barlowe talking about the top 11 prospects. And how's your day going today?
So far, so good. Just trying to update the site. I need to update the draft order as it changes every day, and just update some prospects. Try to add some videos to some guys' profiles. So it's a pretty busy day.
I feel you, man. Yeah, it looks like you put a ton of work into this site, and I know what you mean about the board changing every single day. I'm doing these positional boards, and yeah, it's difficult whenever the sample is so small, and I know exactly where you are. All right, so let's go ahead and dive right in. Start with number 11. Who's your number 11?
Number 11, actually, I hadn't even finished updating it today, but I think I had Knox number 11. I had him going to the Thunder, but obviously the Thunder's in the playoff race now. They've changed that around. So I try to do my mock based off of needs, as opposed to just throwing guys anywhere. Like I've seen some mocks that have Boston taking Trae Young, which I doubt that happens, but I try to do it based off of need as opposed to just ranking guys 1 through 11.
Yeah. Boston taking Trae Young. I mean, Trae Young's awesome, but that would kind of seem like a Kyrie Irving would be upset at this move. But yeah.
Or that Boston would try to add and collect and try to package in another deal for someone else. So
okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Never know with Ainge. Well, I could see doing what he did with Philly. He trades it to another team for picks in the 2019 and 20 draft and just keeps adding more and more draft picks.
I know it's insane that the Brooklyn trade is awesome, but they still have that Memphis pick, and that's going to be a really valuable pick looking at how Memphis is playing right now. Like,
well, even the Lakers pick. I think if the draft was today, they'd have the Lakers. I think the Lakers pick possibly.
Yeah, and that's where the Trae Young thing pick to Boston obviously is coming from, and I mean we can start with Trae Young, but I'd rather let's go ahead and start with Kevin Knox. I feel like he's probably towards the bottom of more people's boards. So let's work into the higher profile players. So Kevin Knox right now, I haven't been blown away by what he's doing, but I see some positives in his game. I like how he's able to pull up off the hang dribble. I think that's a valuable skill, and shot creation probably won't be a problem for him. It'll be the shot making.
Right. I like him. I don't like this Kentucky team. It just seems like it's a bunch of guys that play similar positions. I'm going to get worse once Vanderbilt gets healthy and he starts playing. But he's by far the best player on this Kentucky team, in my opinion. I think he's like one of many guys on their team that are going to end up being small ball fours in the NBA. So,
right? They have a lot of those just same position dudes, and I mean they've had that problem before where it was more big men with Cat and Cauley Stein, and Lyles could have played center on a lot of college teams, I'm sure.
Yep. I think for him it will be fit. I'm trying to think about teams where he would be a good fit. I know Memphis would be a good fit. They probably will be drafting a whole lot sooner than where he's projected to go.
Hopefully the Hornets don't pick him. They have enough shooting big men type players.
But that's one of the issues why it's kind of hard to do this draft, because there's a lot of teams that have a lot of bigs that aren't even playing. And by teams going smaller, more guys that are threes are now moving to the 4, and then you have a bunch of traditional bigs that can't get playing time. I just feel like a lot of teams have young, big prospects that they've drafted in the last couple of years that they still need to get time for.
I could see if Brooklyn gets good enough, then Cleveland having their pick, and they don't know what LeBron's going to do by draft time. I don't think they have the answer by that time. So that's a possible destination for Knox, I think.
Yeah. The crazy thing about Cleveland is you won't know unless like the Cavs get like swept by the Warriors or something like that. Then you could kind of bet on him not coming back, but then again, you have to look around and see what teams would he go to. I just can't see him going to LA, to the Lakers.
I mean, I don't want to get totally into it because I could definitely talk about this all day. But I mean, I'd like to throw out my hometown Rockets as a possibility, especially, they put up a good fight but lose to the Warriors in 6 or 7 maybe. And I think 5 may be trouble because LeBron maybe says they're not close enough. But, they get to 6 or 7, LeBron says, hey, when we pick up this player option like Chris Paul did last year, they throw in Rhino for the salary. Something could happen, I think.
And D'Antoni would play LeBron at center.
Oh, I know. Well, PJ would be fine taking all those center minutes, I'm sure, if he's not included in the trade.
Yeah, I would love to see that. I mean, I'm a big D'Antoni fan, so I would love to see that.
Right. I think anyone who's a basketball fan would love to see LeBron and D'Antoni. Like, the possibilities. Oh, my goodness.
Yep.
All right, so let's go on. Let's go on and move to Miles Bridges. I think he's been not as great as I was hoping. I thought he was going to be a little more dominant this season than he's been, but the tools that make him a viable NBA prospect are obviously still there.
Yep. Yeah, he's had probably the quietest season for anybody that's projected to go in the lottery. I mean, he's not even being discussed or talked about. And now, I mean, in most cases, he's not even seen as the best prospect on his team.
Yeah, I wouldn't have him as the best prospect on the team at this point.
It's funny you mentioned PJ Tucker. He's kind of like one of my comparisons.
Okay.
Just because I think if Miles would need to, he
play
could
the center.
Yeah, having to carve out a role as a defender like PJ, who can knock down the open shots. I mean, he's obviously a much better athlete.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't see him really playing the 3 because he doesn't really create for himself. So he's going to have to play the 4, and then as the smaller, he's in some teams he may have to play the 5. So
he's definitely a good enough rebounder, in my opinion, to play the 4 without an issue, though. So
yeah, it's just he's also kind of hard to judge because the last time I watched Michigan State, he was playing the 3, which is going to be the position that he'll play as a pro. Same with Jackson. I mean, Jackson's going to be a 5 in the league, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think Bridges, my comp for him coming to this, I do like your PJ Tucker comp as a possible outcome. My comp was Tobias Harris. Maybe that's too easy because their games are just so similar.
Yeah.
And their builds are similar too, I think.
Yeah, that's a good.
But I think that's a possible outcome of maybe he doesn't start off just totally dominant because, I think if he's not dominating this year, like we kind of, or at least I was hoping he would, like it kind of signals to me that maybe he gets there, but maybe it takes a couple more years. Like he's not going to be, and I'm going to say this, and he's definitely going to come out and dominate now that I'm saying this, but I'm saying he's not going to come out and dominate right away. But yeah.
It's interesting because you brought up Tobias. If he doesn't come out playing well right away, he could end up in the same situation as Tobias, where he ends up on his second team, and by the time he develops, it's year 4 or 5 when he kind of comes along, because Orlando seems like they didn't really know what to do with him.
Well, yeah, he was on the Bucks first, and then Orlando, and then now the Pistons. So he's on Team 3 now. Team 2 really messed up. Team 1 probably messed up trading for half a year of JJ Redick. Not that JJ's not good, but you got to keep him.
Yeah, I totally forgot he started off in Milwaukee.
Yeah, he was drafted really young.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add about Bridges, or the first Bridges, I should say?
No, that's about it.
All right, let's go on to Mikal Bridges out of Villanova. I think he has potential to be a top 5 pick depending on the team. Like, put him on Boston, and the things Brad Stevens can do with this man in terms of defensive potential. Wow.
Yeah, I definitely think he's a guy who could slide or rise just depending on where the ping pong balls fall. He's a guy that you can plug in and play. Boston would be great. I think if he ends up going to Boston, then Marcus Smart is definitely gone.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I think every team could use him. Even, like, if the Thunder fall out, he's a perfect fit for that team.
Yeah, the Thunder, you have him on the board for the 76ers right now, but, I mean, obviously the rankings have changed and everything. But, I mean, if they were able to get him, that's Robert Covington 2.0 with probably better defense. I mean, like,
Yep.
I'm really high on Bridges. Like, I think he's a really high floor, maybe not as high of a ceiling as some of the other players on the board, but the high floor, like, it really makes him an intriguing prospect, in my opinion.
And he's perfect for Philly. I mean, he's a guy that
Yep.
doesn't need the ball. And with Simmons, you got to have a bunch of guys who don't need the ball, who just want to spread the floor and let Simmons and Embiid do what they do well. But I mean, that's just another defender. I mean, you put him with Embiid, so you got two lockdown defenders there, and you have a floor spacer. So Philly just he would stay in the area. So that would be a great pick. If just depends on where the ping pong balls falls, but
just think about a defense of Fultz, Simmons, Bridges, Covington, and Embiid, switching everything on the perimeter with length. Oh my, wow!
Yeah, yep.
It would just that'd be a very scary thought, like in terms of a core that could grow together. Obviously, Covington's in another stratosphere as far as age goes and potential, but yeah, that would just be scary. Other possible things, the Magic, I think. I like their core right now of Gordon and Isaac. I think that makes an intriguing small ball front court, and putting Bridges at the 3-2 next to that where they can just switch everything and everyone guard everything.
See, I think that's a bad fit for him because I think Orlando needs a star. Like, I think they have enough pieces, but they need to get lucky, do something, draft somebody that's going to be a number one. I mean, I think Bridges and Isaac are kind of similar in that they're, everybody probably projects them to max out as great complementary pieces.
Yeah, I see what you mean about you got to get the star in there at some point. And you don't want to get too many complementary pieces and max out as a 40, 45 win team or something like that. So that is a good point. I think their main issue, though, is just Peyton's not the answer.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what they do this summer. Is he a guy that they extend, or is he a guy that they let go and they throw a bunch of money at Marcus Smart? I have no clue what Orlando's going to do.
Yeah, this whole lottery, honestly, is hard to figure out, in my opinion, just because, for one, I think there's going to be a lot of movement as opposed to other seasons where we can kind of figure out the bottom relatively early. I just feel like this season there's going to be a lot of movement towards the bottom.
Yep, I agree.
Like, the Bulls are obviously not trying to lose as far as players go. Like, they're out here looking like a totally different team. Maybe Miami Heat 2.0, I don't know. But
yeah, I was in Chicago. I was working with one of their players, and I just I was there most of I just left last week, and you had a bunch of hungry guys that are looking for their next contract. So everybody's playing hard. Even if the plan was to tank and be bad, those guys are hungry because they're looking to get paid. So it'd be interesting to see what they do. If they decide, like, okay, we're winning too many games, let's try to lose some.
Yeah, do they start sitting people a la Bledsoe with the Suns?
That'd be tough because, I mean, just because of you got so many guys that are looking for that next contract, and you would definitely create some bad relationships with agents if you start benching guys to lose.
Yeah. Although I don't buy into Mirotic being just the total godsend for them or anything, but he wants out anyways. Maybe whenever the January 10th or 15th, somewhere around there, he can be traded.
Yeah.
Maybe the answer is you move him for sure.
And even then, when you trade him, you gotta have to bring in somebody with a big salary because they're so far near the salary floor.
What about the Lakers are trying to get off Randall because he's a restricted free agent this offseason. So bringing Ding home in some kind of Felicio, and I don't know. I'm sure there's something in there.
Yeah, just because I imagine Chicago probably thinks they could be a free agent destination. So I don't know if they want to.
That's true.
I mean, that Dang contract is.
I wouldn't see myself as a free agent destination, but maybe that Gar Forman and Paxson do. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to who's next. we'll go Porter Jr. Michael Porter Jr. We haven't seen a lot of him obviously this season. He was hurt in the first few minutes of that first game. Have you had any news on him coming back this season? When he's coming back?
No, I mean I think that he's still. I mean, one, I wouldn't come back if I were him.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't either.
I mean, his stock seems to be, he still seems to be going high. Maybe not as high as he would have been projected to go if he played, but he's a guy who I think Orlando should take. I mean, if you think he has the most star power, and if you were projecting him to be the number one pick coming into the season, even though he plays the same position as some of the other guys you've drafted, but he may have the most star power if you don't get in the top 5. So he's a guy from Orlando I'm definitely trying to take. And, I mean, at this point, they can take the risk because they need to do something.
Yeah, I think he definitely has the star power that they wouldn't be able to necessarily expect probably from that draft range where they're currently in,
right?
Where it makes sense to take the star even if there are redundancies in positions. So I like the pick there on your board, even if it's not necessarily the order that it all falls out in.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's a good fit, especially. I mean, if they have someone like Trae Young follow them or something, or they are bad enough to pick that, I think at that point you go with someone like that. But I like that. What do you think are some possible comps for Porter?
I don't know. I just watched this film yesterday, and the only film I had available to watch was USA Basketball. Mm-hmm. So I try not to watch film of guys on highlight tapes because I've made plenty of highlight tapes for kids, and you can make anybody look good.
So true.
And I know, I know he's talented. So, but even watching him in USA Basketball, it was kind of hard to gauge because the competition was so bad. The only team that was comparable as far as athleticism and skill set was the Canadian team. And even then, this was from summer 2016, I believe. So he had Fultz was on the team. So he's probably gotten better since then. But comparisons is tough because I've seen some KD, which, I don't really like comparing anybody to Kevin Durant. But yeah. At first I thought he was a 3, but the more and more I watch him, I think he's going to be a 4, small ball 4. Or I don't even know if we can call it small ball 4 now.
Yeah,
because
he's 6'10". He's just as tall as Dwight.
Yeah. Yeah, because everybody's playing small in some form or fashion. So, except the Pelicans. But, yeah, I mean, I think his best position going forward will be a 4. So, on my side, I have him listed with the power forwards. Comparison, I don't know. It's tough. He's one of the.
It is. Yeah, if you don't want to commit to one, don't worry. I know comparisons are tough.
I usually have comparisons, but he's a guy I just haven't seen a lot of film on.
It's so tough when the second best player in most of his high school games was his brother.
Yeah. Yep. And then even when he played for Mocan, he played with Trae Young. So.
Oh wow, yeah. So
it's like I thought he was clearly the best player of the two, and now Now
you have to wonder how Trae's playing for sure.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so next on your board, he didn't make my top 11, but I'm down to talk about him, Robert Williams.
Yeah, he's been kind of disappointing this year. I thought last year he should have came out. I mean, he's still raw. It doesn't look like he's improved this summer. Last year he showed flashes of being able to make jump shots. I mean, he made a couple, but this year I think he's only made 1 or 2 last time I've checked. But he's still a good rim runner and obviously a shot blocker. I think.
Yeah, at 6'9", even with his long arms, it's kind of a little bit concerning to me if he can be the sole big man on your team.
Yeah, I mean, I think he can. I mean, I think I don't want to compare him to Dwight, but I mean, as far as measurables, they're probably a little similar.
Definitely.
But he would be a guy that would.
It's all about vertical gravity for him, I think.
Yeah, and then if the team has floor spacing, and he can run the floor and.
Yeah, and I like you have him going to Memphis next to Marc Gasol. It would be fine. assuming Marc Gasol is still there. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even just learning from Gasol after for a year or two, it would be fine. I think I've seen some boards have him going to Sacramento. That would be kind of redundant there.
It'd be super redundant.
But I think a lot of teams are going to end up with a lot of duplicates of players that they draft and that they're still going to develop.
Either that or a lot of these bigs fall and we see some players we didn't expect in the lotto.
Yeah, I could see that. But, I mean, if you just look at the teams, like if you say, all right, Dallas would be a good fit, but I imagine Dallas would be picking in the top 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
With Phoenix, it depends on where Chandler is at, and if they decide to keep Lynn, that could be an option. Utah, that's kind of redundant with what they already have. Chicago.
Go ahead.
I said Chicago, possibly, but I imagine they're going to. Well, we don't know what Chicago's going to do, if they're going to stay around his range or not. That could possibly work. Clippers, if DeAndre's gone, that could be an option.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean,
I see what you mean. There's just so many options. It's hard to really narrow down the teams at this point because all the players are similar positions. So there's going to be redundancies no matter what. Like no matter which way they go, there's going to be redundancies. So you can't always say, well, the fit's perfect. Although I do think there are some really good fits you can find in there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess looking at it now, Chicago may make the most sense.
Him and Markkanen, yeah.
Yeah, Charlotte makes absolutely zero sense at all. Yeah, so
yeah. There's just not enough growth in his game to really, I think, put him over some of these other bigs, and that's going to be the issue. It's going to be he falls, I think.
He's the type of guy that could fall and then have a great rookie year in the right situation as just a rim runner. You get him in a fast offense. I mean, I think his rebounding could translate. I think the shot blocking may, just because but I also see him as a guy that probably end up in a lot of foul trouble also. So,
yeah, I'll keep him off the floor a little bit.
Yep.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to Mo Bamba out of Texas. What do you think about Mo Bamba's freshman season so far?
I think, I mean, as far as his defensive impact, you can't deny that. I still feel like he's missing like this mean streak, like this. Like, most great defenders have like this mean streak or this high energy level and this toughness. I still, for some reason, he's missing that to me.
Even Gobert doesn't take shit from anybody.
Yeah, I have friends on the Jazz, and they tell me that. And I actually met Rudy in France once, and he has this chip on his shoulder because he was drafted low.
Yeah,
and he's had it, and I think with Bamba, I don't want to call him soft because I don't think he's soft, but all great defenders have this mean streak. And even if they're like a guy like Tim Duncan who doesn't show it, it's still like this inner competitive fire. And I think Bamba gets away with blocking a lot of shots because of his great length. And but I mean the skill set is there that he could end up still being a generational defender just because you can't teach what he has as far as length and timing.
Yeah, see, it's really tricky with him because statistically, I imagine that by a lot of the systems that just check and look at top games, Bamba will probably excel in those systems.
Yep.
But then you look at he kind of fades out of games quite a bit. Andrew Wiggins is someone that I'm sure looked good by similar systems and also had a fading problem.
Yep.
So you wonder how engaged does he stay, even if it becomes every game he's engaged. Does he stay engaged in all facets of the game every game?
Right, and I just see him by him getting just punished and just beat up at the next level. So when he's getting beat up, is he still going to be engaged when he's got DeMarcus Cousins throwing his hip into him, or even a guy like Robin Lopez just kind of pushing him way out the block? So I think he's a project. I think the Gobert path would be ideal for a team, but I just don't expect him to have a major impact until maybe year 3 or 4, just because I think he's listed at like 215 pounds, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's right in that range, and that almost seems generous.
Yeah, skinny legs.
Yeah, he's gonna get pushed off the spot all day just from the
Yep,
legs.
yep, yep. So that's why I mean, you got to draft for the future, but I think he struggles, and he could actually end up having a similar situation as Nerlens Noel, a bigger Noel.
Hmm.
Nerlens is struggling holding his position, rebounding. I mean, he'll put up stats if you play him enough minutes, but the impact isn't there as what most people thought he would have when he was drafted.
See, I almost feel like Nerlens Noel's defense is almost entirely instinct, whereas Bomba's is maybe partially instinct, but more because of measurables in
Yeah,
Nerlens.
that's fair. I can agree with that.
Yeah. All right. Anything else you want to add about Bomba as far as maybe teams he might fit on? Again, it's tough with all these centers because who needs a center nowadays? You can't even trade a center.
Yeah, Dallas obviously would be a good fit. He could learn in Memphis under Gasol if Gasol is there. I,
See, I see the Dallas point of view from like the skill point, but then I just see how Carlisle and the team how they reacted to Nerlens, and maybe it's because of the contract situation, but I also think some of it. I mean, they have been saying it's because he doesn't come in and work every day. He doesn't have that work ethic they're looking for. Is
right.
Bamba going to be the guy that they go to now?
I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I still think it's the contract situation because I don't know how true it is that he was offered 70, but if he would have signed for 345, they would not have benched him like they're benching him.
Yeah, it's unconstant at this point. They know he's gone, so they figure why are we investing minutes that could be used on the development of other players?
Well, that's what makes it even trickier because are they developing other players? Well, I mean, Kleber now, but they had
Measuring, yeah, you're
yeah,
right.
of him, and he's like, was he like 30, 31?
Yeah, so at that point, it becomes almost a punishment thing.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I had a fake trade in my mind that sent Measury to Golden State for somebody like Kevin Looney or
Okay,
what's his name, Jones, the guy that drafted out of Vanderbilt.
Damien.
Yeah, just so the Mavs will have another young guy that they can develop. I mean, obviously they're not trying to win games,
Right.
and the Warriors don't want anybody with any upside right now that they're going to have to try to keep down the
Yeah,
road.
they're not gonna be able to pay. They're already gonna have to probably make some other moves they don't want to make this offseason.
Yeah, so that was a fake trade that I had in mind, but we'll see if it happens. But yeah, I mean Nerlens' situation seems totally just we're punishing you.
Mm-hmm.
You're not in our plans, so we're gonna we don't need you right now.
Yeah, it doesn't look like they're gonna trade him either, sadly.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to Colin Sexton out of Alabama, famed 3-on-5 hero.
This
Go ahead.
the guy has the most confidence I've ever seen outside of Russell Westbrook. He's a guy that I mean you would just hate guarding because he has no conscience and he's going to attack, and attack. I like him. I like him a lot. I think that he's a competitor. He likes to shoot off the dribble. I wonder how he'll fit in a locker room as a young guy coming in with a veteran team. I think, not saying I know anything about character issues, but I think he's so confident that some veterans may have an issue with his shot selection. A team like Orlando, I think that would be a good fit for him. I think he could have the star power. But then, like, the point guard position is tricky. Like, all right, so Dallas probably wouldn't take him. If Memphis has invested so much money in the Conley, and I can't even imagine trying to trade Conley at this point. So
It'd be near impossible.
Yeah, Memphis doesn't seem like an option. You never know with Boston and Ainge. I mean, that could be an asset. The Cleveland pick, possibly, depending on LeBron. I personally think Charlotte needs to do a full rebuild and see if they can get some assets for Kemba. And that could possibly be something. Sacramento doesn't seem like an option for Sexton. Maybe 2 weeks ago we would have thought maybe Chicago, but I think Dunn has played well enough there to where you consider him their point guard of the future. Phoenix is definitely an option. Maybe Utah. Depends on what they do with Rubio. The Clippers would be a good fit. But then after that, I think he's a guy that could also slide just based off of team needs.
Man, I would love to see Sexton and Mitchell play together. Whew.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
That would just be like, oh, just attack.
Yeah, that would be the most aggressive backcourt in recent memory.
Oh, man. And if you always have at least one of them, I think your offense is probably going to be like fine in their primes. Maybe not right away, but in their primes, if you always have one of them on the court,
yep,
you're going to be fine.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get – teams are going to be in foul trouble. You're going to at least generate points from the free throw line.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on to Trae Young out of OU. Obviously, he's just been blowing up the box score this year. So I see a lot of people comparing him to Curry. My comp for him, though, is Harden. What do you think about the two?
The Harden comp?
Yeah, either one.
I guess the Steph one, I think just based off of just the eye test, Steph is the easiest one. The shot selection is Curry-like, and the ability to shoot off the dribble is definitely like Steph. Harden is tough.
If you look at his synergy distribution, it's so similar to Harden. And I know the synergy distribution isn't perfect, but it's so similar to Harden that it just makes you think, like, man, he could definitely – the way he pounds the ball, I could just see him running an offense just like Harden does.
Oh, yeah, I could definitely – I mean, you put him into the D'Antoni type system, and I think a lot of his success is due to the system that they run at OU. I mean, they're running the floor spread. I don't think I've seen anybody have that type of usage rate. Definitely not a freshman have the usage rate numbers that he has. So, yeah, I mean, I get the Harden comparison just as far as, like, having total freedom to do whatever he wants to do and the whole offense through him. So, yeah, that makes sense.
See, I was never a fan of OU's offense until this year, and now I'm a huge fan of OU's offense.
Did they change it, or is it just –
they didn't run like this whenever they had Buddy. I don't feel like they never put the ball in Buddy's hands like this. Obviously, not that he could have really handled it like this.
Right, but I want to say not his the year before he blew up. I want to say OU was at top 10 in the country in scoring when they had, I think, Cousins and Cameron Clark and Buddy. And then it seemed like the next year they just found ways to put the ball in Buddy's hands. It was like, okay, he's our best player. We're going to run everything through him. And it seems like they've done a similar thing with Trae Young. It's like he's clearly our best player, and we're just going to let him dominate the ball, and we're running everything through him.
See, and I think maybe they could have used Buddy a little bit more than they did, but there's no way Buddy could have had the usage percentage Trae has, even like his last year. There's no way.
Yeah, no, he's not the ball handler or the passer.
Yeah.
But they ran a lot of screens to get him open.
Oh, they did. They ran a lot of screens, and at the end of the games, their offense struggled to get him the ball enough, I thought, and that's kind of the one crux I had. But maybe I'm just being too picky.
No, I agree, because at the end of the games, he had to force up terrible shots because you knew who they were going to.
Yep, and he didn't have the ball handling to escape some defenses like Trae does.
Yep.
I think the different defenses Trae has already seen this season is really going to help his development. Like, I've already seen him see. I mean, I can't think of videos I haven't seen him see already.
Yeah, and I've seen, I want to say the Oregon game, he struggled a little bit when they put physical defenders on him, and then he just got a screen, and once he got a screen, he made it work. Or, I mean, you just – because he has so much freedom, you don't know if he's going to pull up from 30 feet, 25, shoot off the dribble. Yeah, so, I mean, you can put a physical defender on him, and and then he's such a good passer that he makes you pay. So
the freedom definitely makes him exponentially more dangerous.
yep.
All right, any teams you'd like to see him on?
Orlando, obviously Orlando.
Yeah.
I mean, like if you're Atlanta and you end up, what do you take? I mean, I know you just paid Dennis, but do you look at Trae Young? I think Boston would be redundant. The Cleveland pick, we don't know. Charlotte, if they decide for a full rebuild, I think he'd actually sell tickets in Charlotte also.
Oh yeah. He'd be their Curry.
Yep.
We were hoping Curry came, and we got the next best thing.
I agree. Phoenix,
Chicago would be interesting, I think, next to Dunn, because Dunn obviously can play up to guard twos.
he can, but then what do you do with Levine?
Yeah, I guess at some point maybe Dunn's a sixth man, but maybe he's played himself out of that sixth man territory with his last 20 games or so.
Yeah, I think he has. I mean, I think a lot of his success is due to Nikola being back. The floor spread for him to attack, especially when they have the few times where they had the lineup where Mirotic and Markkanen are on the floor together. So you're going to get driving lanes there. But I mean, just with his defense and his passing, I definitely think he's played himself to be their starting point guard next year.
Yeah, I think he's earned that. You're probably right. With so many bigs on the floor and a gaping hole at center, it would be a little bit almost attacking of his position to go point guard there.
Yep. So, yeah, Phoenix, maybe Utah. And then you have to wonder, like, even with Utah, I think Rubio's a free agent, right?
If not this summer, the next summer for sure.
Yeah. So he might say he's playing his best basketball, at least scoring-wise, he's playing his best basketball. And but this could be his last go-around as a full-time starter.
Mm-hmm.
Phoenix, Utah, I think the Clippers definitely need to draft a point guard because, I mean, when Teodosic is the only – well, Juwan, but those two are like the only real point guards on the roster. They have a bunch of tweeners.
Yeah, I thought they got a steal with Juwan Evans.
Yep.
But, after Juwan, Teodosic, you can't even count on him playing, I think, 60 games a season going forward. I mean, his body is so conditioned to playing that shortened EuroLeague season. I shouldn't say shortened because the NBA season really should be called lengthened. But
and when I spent last season in Europe, I was with ep.8, so I got a chance to the whole EuroLeague, and I think it's the opposite. I think Teodosic's body is beat up because foreign players don't get the summers off. So when a non-NBA team or non-playoff team, they're done in April, and if you're not on Team USA, you have until from April to basically October to rest and train or whatever. But the EuroLeague season didn't end until the end of May. So it was like May 25th or something like that. Then you still have your domestic league season, which may not end until June. And then Teodosic usually plays on the national team. So I'm good friends with Bogdan Bogdanovic, and he told me he hasn't had a summer off in like 6 or 7 years.
Whew. Man, that's what did Yowen. I mean, obviously he's a bigger scale, but that's what did Yowen.
And I think that could be an issue for some of the foreign players. So, for example, with Bogdanovic, Fenerbahce won the EuroLeague is at the end of May. Then they finished the Turkish league. I want to say it was mid-June, maybe around the 18th. And then Bogdan had to report for the Serbian national team around mid-July. And then I was at Eurobasket. That didn't end until the end of September, I want to say, because they went to the final game. And then right from September, he had to go straight to Sacramento after maybe a week off.
Man, that's just whew.
Yes.
I see why, like, Ginobili, even though he loves representing his country at this point, he's just like,
Yeah, and so I think even though the EuroLeague season seems shorter, it might be more taxing on the body because the players overseas practice twice a day. And
Mm,
so his body, I mean, he's 30, but in his body he may be 35. So,
yeah,
but I'm a big Teodosic fan, so I would like to.
it's hard not to be. Just he
Yeah.
plays the game with so much joy.
Yep. Yep.
Okay,
Doesn't look like a ball player either.
so let's move on to Jaren Jackson Jr. out of Michigan State. He's obviously the prospect I was referring to as better than Miles Bridges on
Right.
Michigan State. I think that I see some Bosch in his game. Honestly, that's kind of the career path I see him going down.
Do you? That's interesting. I can't find a comparison for him. I know he's young, so sometimes I watching him play, I'm like, oh, he looks a little raw, and then sometimes I play, and I'm saying that, and it looks like he doesn't have like a great offensive skill set, but he can do a little bit of everything. And then you look at him on the defensive end, it's like, okay, he can switch, and then he's a rim protector, but he's one of those rim protectors that's not a high flyer that doesn't do all this damage, like.
Yeah, he's just positionally. He knows where to be. And see, that's what I was thinking, like Miami Chris Bosh, where maybe he doesn't have the highest usage role, but he can go out high hedge on all the screens, get out there, cause chaos, and he also knows where to be around the rim, and he can space the floor.
Yep. That's a good comparison, I guess, if you're looking defense first. Because, a lot of times when you think of Bosch, I still think of Toronto Bosch, where he was.
Oh, yeah. See, he wouldn't be putting up 25, posting up a game like yeah.
But, yeah, defensively, yeah. I mean, I think he's a guy that I don't think he'll be a superstar, but I think he'll be a guy that ends up being like a major piece on a very good team because he just does a little bit of everything. He doesn't where he stretches the floor, where he allows your guards to get in the lane. He rebounds. And, he can probably take advantage of smaller players on switches in the post. And then he just plays with a motor.
Yeah, it's really hard to nitpick his game because I don't really think there's many things he doesn't do well or he doesn't project to do well, at least.
Right. I think it's more so about projection because last time I checked, his field goal percentage was a little low. He seems to fall on the floor a lot. It seems like there's something with his balance that's off.
Like Embiid-wise, because some guys I think fall on purpose because they know, absorbing the shock over the entire body rather than one single body part helps.
I mean, that's possible. I mean, I think Embiid falls because he's just, I don't want anybody landing on my legs. I'm just going to fall and protect my whole body as opposed to, I just think that's probably mental for him because of his past injuries.
But yeah, he's a little bit goofy too.
Yeah. Yep. But even like when I was at the Michigan State Duke game and you watch Jackson and then you're like, I mean, he does stuff well. And then sometimes you look at the box score and it's like, he looks better than what I saw in the box score. Or then sometimes you look at the box score and you say, I didn't realize he had 8 points, 10 rebounds, 4 blocks, hit a 3. So he's an interesting prospect. He's another guy who I don't know where he fits in. I mean, if you look at, I think I had him going to Sacramento and maybe replacing Zebo.
Yeah. And I think they kind of haven't shown much confidence in Scal this year, so I don't think you really need to worry about redundancy.
Yeah. And then we don't know what's going on with Giles.
Yeah, I really like Giles, but obviously we haven't really seen anything, so we'll see. I think that his year at Duke was obviously just a rehab year. It wasn't even to show off any real NBA skills. It was just I can literally be on an NBA court.
Yep. Chicago would be very interesting for Jackson.
Oh, yeah, that would be very nice. I think him and Markkanen would that'd be a really tough front court to cover. Plus, defensively, I think I project Jackson to be able to play center defensively. So if you do, then I think that it makes total sense.
Oh, yeah, I think his best position is center.
Okay, yeah, for sure then.
But he's like Bridges. They're both playing out of position. right now.
Yeah. I mean, Nick Ward's good, but is it worth playing both of your best players out of position?
I mean, I guess Izzo's all about winning now, not from what they'll be in the NBA.
Oh well, yeah, but I mean, even winning now, maybe having those two as your 4-5 and bringing Ward off the bench, just always having one or two of those three on the court. Maybe that's the way to go. I don't know.
I agree. Yep, I agree. But sometimes it's kind of hard to question Izzo. He's been
He's got quite a reputation where it's like he probably knows what he's doing a little bit. He sees these players every now and then.
Yep.
So let's go to Bagley. Marvin Bagley out of Duke.
Yeah, he's another interesting prospect. It's like, and I've seen other people make similar comments. Offensively, he's all right. Is he a 4 or a 5? that's the question. He seems like offensively he's a 5. But defensively he doesn't provide the rim protection that you would like. But he's such an energetic freak that I think there may be some redundancy on some teams. Like, so for example, if you're Atlanta, and he's available, can you play him and Collins together?
Yeah, see, defensively, that pick and roll coverage would be really rough.
Yeah.
I think he's shown enough of a 3-point shot. I think that in college that I think maybe a corner 3 projection isn't just like out of line, but his free throw percentage being a 63 is like even the corner 3. It's like maybe he gets it. I don't know.
Yeah.
And if you're not shooting the corner 3, even you're a 5.
Right.
So yeah, I think fit's very important for him. Back when I thought New York was going to be towards the bottom of the draft, I thought him and Porzingis would have been an amazing fit together.
Well, I mean, looking at New York's schedule coming up, we'll have all the road games, and I think they're 2-12 on the road. They could easily slide
into that range. Okay.
Range, yeah.
I mean, I'm going to have New York fans mad at me, but I honestly hope they do because I think that would be an amazing fit. Bagley and Porzingis would just – yeah, Porzingis, I think, needs a unique fit as well, and it's like puzzle pieces fitting together to me.
And if I'm New York, I'm probably taking Doncic just because I like Cantor. I like what Cantor does. Cantor's young. I mean, he's kind of bounced around. Well, what was interesting was the Christmas Day game. I thought he played an excellent job. I thought he did an excellent job on defense on Embiid in the post.
Yeah, post defense has never been Cantor's problem. It's the pick and roll defense, and when you get to the playoffs, you worry about a team just isolating Cantor in the pick and roll over and over again, like we've already seen happen. So it's a little bit dangerous. That's why I was lower on John Collins, I think, than other people too.
Yeah. I mean, maybe out east is probably less likely out east than it is out west because you're not playing against Harden or Chris Paul or.
Yeah, we've seen the voting for the All-Star voting for East point guards. It's like, come on, it's not the same.
Yep. So yeah, I think with Bagley, like Chicago, what do you do if you're the Bulls and he's on the board? I mean,
that's a good fit too, though. So
do you play him at center?
I think that you just go with an offensive focus going forward because I think offensively it's such a good fit that you just have to go with it.
So you just have him roll and Markkanen pop out?
Yeah, I mean offensively it's not a problem. Like offensively they're going to be fine. Defensively it's going to be rough.
Yeah.
That's why maybe you have Dunn out there. Levine's obviously not helping on defense, but maybe you hope Dunn's such a great point of attack defender that he can shore up some of those deficiencies.
Yeah. That's why I wonder what Bagley's fit. So if you look at Dallas, I mean I think Dallas would take him. Atlanta, you have to wonder if he can play with Collins.
Yeah, Dallas has experience game planning around defensive liabilities in the pick and roll.
Yeah, that's true. Orlando, you definitely have to take him, but there's a lot of redundancy there.
Mm-hmm.
Charlotte.
Oh man, don't put him to Charlotte.
I'm just looking at the teams: Sacramento, Phoenix, Utah. Phoenix
is all about your opinion on Bender and Chris. Obviously, Chris has not been impressive, but Bender,
No.
I think there's flashes.
Yeah,
Bender and
but
Bagley could be interesting.
right. But Chris and Bender are both so young. So it's like,
hmm And Chris is so new to the game as well.
yeah, I mean, I think he could be fine if he just stayed out of foul trouble. I mean, he jumps at everything.
He still plays like a football player.
Yeah. And that was his problem at Washington, was he was just always in foul trouble. But
hmm
is there. I think I have a friend of mine that's one of the coaches, and so I mean he's high on Bender. He's really high on Bender, but he's just saying like he doesn't know how to. His exact words: he doesn't know how to hoop. He knows how to play basketball.
Okay.
And when you get guys out there just running and not playing with any structure, he's going to struggle. But if you put him in structure, he's very talented.
Yeah, I always thought he was just going to be like the ultimate glue guy, honestly.
Yep. And I mean, I know fans are kind of hard on him just because,
They don't have patience.
yeah, they don't have patience. And then I think a lot of times fans are harder on European prospects
Yeah, because
because
I
they don't
don't
know.
know why, but yeah.
I think it's lack of, people being familiar with them.
Okay.
I mean, like, right. I mean, I think Porzingis has helped a little. I mean, I've seen people on draft boards who are just like so adamant of saying that Ayton or Bagley are better than Doncic, but it's strictly because they haven't seen him.
Yeah, if you could just go watch him, like I don't
Yeah.
know how you could not like what he brings.
Yep. So yeah, I don't. The fit is definitely going to be interesting with Bagley.
Which means he could fall.
Right. Which, a few weeks ago, if you say Bagley could fall, people would have been like, "There's no way he falls." But I just don't know the perfect fit.
Yeah, I think it'll be kind of disappointing for him draft night because I think that just from the stats he's putting up, his agent's probably going to be telling him top 3. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know the top 3 is necessarily in the cards unless the lottery balls fall a certain way.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be probably one of the most interesting drafts, period, because it's going to be so unpredictable, at least based off of how it looks right now. I think in
hmm
some drafts you can easily predict where guys are going. And, I mean, we've seen Draft Express predict it right most of the time. Either they predicted right or they had inside info. But this draft, I don't think anybody knows where and what to expect.
Yeah, it's maybe. I think Doncic to me is the clear number 1 still, even with Trae Young playing how he is, and after that, it really is just all about fit, like you've been saying.
And see, for some reason, I wouldn't be surprised to see Trae Young fall. I wouldn't be surprised to see a team think that it could have been the system.
Yeah, but it's not so hard to implement that system once you have the foundational piece.
Yeah,
That you don't just say, okay, well, we've seen this system work in multiple contending teams. So at some point, maybe not that exact system, but you could have him play, I think, in either the Warriors or the Rockets type system. Warriors would be much harder to gain the players they would fit around them, but it's not exactly undoable or not able to be done once you have that foundational Curry, Harden, Young, if Young is truly in that tier.
yeah. I mean, but if you look at, let's say, Memphis or Orlando has that pick, can they run that offense? Do they have the pieces to run that type of offense?
I mean, maybe not year 1. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't think that you look at year 1 though. I mean, I
yeah,
think whoever they're picking now, you don't necessarily think how well does he fit next to Marc Gasol.
right. And I think in Memphis's case, you can't trade Gasol or Conley.
Yeah.
I think the reason you can't trade Gasol is because he's such an important piece to the city. And I remember their attendance was horrible for years. So if you trade Zebo, you get rid of Zebo and Mark back-to-back seasons, the arena is going to be empty.
Yeah, they're definitely one of the teams that fears bottoming out because of the attendance. Them, Atlanta, I'm not sure how their attendance is this season, but I would assume that they would have probably been weary of this plan because of attendance reasons.
I mean, their attendance was bad when they were. I don't
Yeah.
think the longest playoff streak in the league right now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, sure to be broken, but
Yeah. I was at a
yeah.
game. I want to say 2013-14 season, and that was the year they were struggling when Horford was hurt, and they played the Bobcats, and I could have literally just went courtside and sat there if there.
Oh man.
But and so yeah, I mean, Atlanta definitely is one of those teams where they could use some excitement, and you have to factor in like attendance. But I think Memphis is because of that, Gasol is going to have complete leverage to stay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Gasol. Yeah, Conley, I think maybe is a little more movable because he's younger, and you definitely can get more. I think for him than Gasol in the trade at this point.
I disagree because I think because of his contract, and I mean, if you look at his injuries, he's probably played like 60 games every year for like the past 3 or 4.
Okay.
So I think I would. I mean, if I were general manager, I don't know if I would take on this deal. I mean, is he the second or third highest paid player in the NBA right now?
Yeah, he's top 5 for sure. I'm not exactly sure about
30-something million a year, and it's only the year 2, and I just can't count on him to stay healthy. I think
he would definitely have to, I think, be a little healthier than he has been. Although I think with Gasol's, it's just the age. I mean, maybe if it's like Cleveland going all in for it this year, maybe I could see that.
Yeah, that would be good for Memphis because you get
the Brooklyn pick.
You get two lottery picks, and then I think that would ease the blow of
for sure
like that. But
if the fans aren't happy with 2 lottery picks in this draft, there's really no way to appease them unless they just have no confidence in Memphis drafting, which is entirely possible because Conley might have been the last player that they hit on.
Yeah, I'm looking at Conley in 2015-16. He played 56 games last year, 69 games. This year he's only played 12.
Ooh.
The year before, 2015, he played 70. 2014, 73.
Yeah. So it's a downward trend. I see what you're saying there.
He's 30. And so.
Oh, I thought he was a little bit younger. Yeah. At 30. How old is Gasol?
Let me see. 30. He'll be 33 next month, January.
33. That's tough to trade a 33-year-old unless it's literally like we have to win now.
He's still productive.
Yeah, I mean his offense has kind of fallen off, I think, recently.
Yeah, I mean as far as efficiency, yeah, he's shooting only 41% this year.
Oof.
But he's averaging 18 and 9.
Defensively, I'm sure he's still great though. So like he's still bringing value.
Yeah, he was such an IQ defender.
Yeah, his defense was always going to be something that aged better than other big men who relied exclusively on athleticism. Well, I shouldn't say exclusively, but primarily.
Yeah, Cleveland would be a great fit for him. I mean, that gives them another passer, a floor spacer, a good defender.
This would be a fun draft to have 2 picks in, 2 lottery picks.
Yep, which Philadelphia could end up with 2.
Oh, they could. Wow.
Yeah, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, if it's 2 through 5, it would go to Boston.
Yeah.
Then 1 is protected, or maybe Boston would get 1.
No, I think you're right, Richard. I think it's 2 to 5 to Boston and 1 and 6 through 30
to Philly. And I think Philly has lost 8 out of the last 10. So,
man, that's disappointing. They were looking so good.
Well, it's
Embiid's been out, but
he's been out. I was at the Bulls game when they played Chicago a couple weeks ago, and then I watched the game last night. it's Simmons doesn't want to be fouled in the fourth quarter. He's nowhere near as
He's
aggressive as
scared.
yeah. I mean, he's not taking jump shots, and then I think he's at like 54% from the free throw line. So their fourth quarter offense consists of JJ, Covington, or Bayless taking contested threes.
Yeah, probably not not the most efficient way to win games.
Yeah, and I think they're going to continue to slide. So I think Philly having 2 lottery picks is very realistic.
Dang, I was kind of thinking that Mikal Bridges was a pipe dream, but yeah, now that you put it that way,
Strong
Mikal
possibility.
Bridges is a possibility.
Yeah, I think it's a strong possibility. And then
Dang.
if I looked at it earlier today. In the next month, Philly has, I think they have Boston twice, San Antonio twice, Oklahoma City twice, and then they have games with Toronto and maybe Milwaukee twice.
That's not great
I
for
don't
them.
think they've been on their have they been on their West Coast trip yet? I know there's a lot of West Coast teams that they haven't played yet, so they're gonna have to play them twice coming up.
Yeah, they could definitely take a lot more L's than that would not be great for their fan base because I'm pretty sure that they thought this was the year they were making the jump. But
Yep.
hey, actually, I think this could help them long term because if they picked up 2 real solid dudes in this draft, it's a core that never ends.
They still have Fultz.
Yeah, right. He's practically not played this season. I think they're going to be able to get Redick back at a lower cost next year. You know, they paid him like the lump sum at the beginning, and now it's going to be, if he comes back, it's going to be probably a lower rate. Although if LeBron goes to Houston, don't overlook JJ taking a small contract to go play with LeBron.
Yeah.
But
yeah, LeBron can definitely make guys want to take pay cuts because you're going to play in the finals.
Yeah, it's that simple. Maybe conference finals in the West. You know for sure you're playing conference finals because if you beat the Warriors, I mean the finals is a foregone conclusion at that point.
Yeah, to me it just makes 0 sense for LeBron to go West.
Yeah, I mean I totally get that viewpoint. But I think if you're leaving Cleveland and you're looking at just like let's look at the 28 other teams because I'm not including the Warriors in that. And just say we're going to have to beat the Warriors no matter what, whether it's the conference finals or the finals. You know, if the ultimate goal is not finals but finals victory, it doesn't really matter what conference you're in. Because if you beat the Warriors, you're going to beat whoever comes out of the other conference.
Right.
But I can see from a career optics standpoint how getting to the finals every year and losing to them is better than losing to them in the conference finals. But, I mean, second best team isn't always losing the finals.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a Blazers fan, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I know if we get those foul calls on Shaq in the fourth quarter 2000 finals,
oh man,
I think the Pacers who we would have played. So yeah, we would have won that. But yeah, just to me, it just doesn't make sense for LeBron to go West. I would love to see him in Houston, but then I look at the East, maybe Philly, just because of Rich Paul represents Simmons also. But
okay, yeah.
fit-wise, I don't know how that would work.
It's very iffy fit-wise unless LeBron wants to play spot-up shooter when Simmons is on the court.
Yeah. And then New York, unless he thinks like Porzingis is a great second option or
I don't see New York. I think the relationship is negative at this point, even though Phil Jackson's not there anymore. It just seems like it's a no-go.
Yeah, it would look funny because he's such good friends with Carmelo to just go over there in his old city and just.
We know he ain't playing with Melo again if he goes there, or ever if he goes there.
Yep, but just going to his friend's old stomping ground and just becoming the favorite.
That would be interesting and very, very drama-driven.
Yep.
All right, let's go ahead. We got 2 left. DeAndre Ayton. He's just looks so fluid on the court. Like he just looks like a gazelle running down the court to me.
Yep.
He's prototypical big for this era, plus other skills.
Yeah, the talent is just all there. I would probably like for him to be a better shot blocker and rim protector, just because I look at for a lot of guys that average maybe a block and a block and a half in college, does it really translate to the pros?
Not really.
Right, because even if you look at Anthony Davis, I think he was at like 4 blocks a game in college.
Yeah, I mean,
And,
college players just put up a lot of shots that deserve to be blocked. When they get to
yep,
the when players get to the NBA, they learn just pass it off. Don't put up that.
right. So yeah, it could be nitpicking because I think he could be a better shot blocker. But I mean, as far as talent, he's extremely talented, and then he just looks so much bigger on the court than what he's listed as. He's listed as 7 foot, I think 245 on some sites, but he has to be at least 260.
Yeah, and his arms are decently long. It's not like
Yeah,
he's coming in with T-Rex arms.
right.
So
I think to me the fit that makes the most sense is Dallas, and it looks like they're going to end up with at least top 3 pick. He makes the most sense in Dallas to me.
I think he fits in Dallas and Chicago. Either one would be
Yep.
great fits. Uh,
What about Atlanta?
See, Atlanta, like you were saying with his defense, I don't know, like, not that I think John Collins is a player you decide who else you're drafting based on, but, like, you did just spend a first-round pick on John Collins. If there's other bigs that might fit better next to John Collins, maybe you take it. I don't know. It's tough to base decisions based on who you picked at 19 or 20 the last draft.
Yep.
So
that's why I have Atlanta taking Doncic. Just because I think he fits in with anybody. I think you can plug him in any system.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I mean, Bagley to Dallas makes the most sense. Chicago would be great. Chicago would be great. Defensively, you still have some of the same issues, no matter who they take outside of Bamba. But
I view John Collins as more of a liability guarding pick and roll than Markkanen at this point, honestly.
That's an interesting take.
Yeah, I mean,
crazy because Collins has the tools,
but his wingspan isn't great. He's got what 6'10" wingspan or maybe 6'11", but still power forward wingspan, not a center wingspan. And I don't feel like he has the lateral quickness or the instincts to know angles to be able to competently defend in the NBA if he's being targeted. If it's just like you run 2 or 3 pick and rolls out of a game, maybe he does fine. But if he's being targeted by someone who knows what they're doing in the pick and roll, like say Luka Doncic was on the other side of that pick and roll, I feel like he would eat on Collins.
Yeah, I agree.
So I mean, but Collins definitely has that offensive skill too. Don't want to hate on John Collins, Atlanta fans, but yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of like, there's definitely some flaws, like you were saying in Ayton's game, to where maybe there's better fits than others, but it's not enough of a flaw to be to be like, oh, he's not gonna fit there.
Yep, I agree.
Except
with that.
Sacramento. Sacramento doesn't need another big.
Yeah, I mean, just think. Let's say you're Orlando and you end up with the 2nd pick in the draft. Who do you take? Do you pass up Ayton?
Well, are we assuming Doncic is the number 1 pick in this scenario?
Right. Yep, I'm assuming Doncic is 1. And if you're Orlando and you're number 2, who do you take?
See, I think it depends on what their mindset is on the Isaac Gordon front court. If they're sold on that being a power forward center front court going forward, maybe not even next year, but 2-3 years down the line, then maybe you go Trae Young. But if it's someone, or if their front office is of the mindset that no, one of Gordon or Isaac is the 3, while we still have this opening at the 4/5 or whatever you want to say, they have an opening at the 4 or 5. Then, I mean, yeah, I think Ayton would probably be the choice.
If Trae Young goes number 2, that would have to be like the largest jump in the history of basketball.
Right?
From not on draft boards to the 2nd pick, that would be incredible.
Yeah, but I think he's played up to it, honestly. Like,
oh yeah, definitely played up to it.
Like, and the fear for teams of passing up on the next Curry, like,
yeah,
maybe at 1 you don't have that fear because like I feel pretty confident at Luka Doncic you're getting like a player that you're confident is going to succeed. But then after that, it's just like, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough, and don't let him have a strong tournament run. If he has a tournament run like Curry, you don't
Or
want to be.
Carmelo.
Or yeah, but even Steph, when Steph beat Kansas or almost beat Kansas that year, I don't know if they won or not, but if Oklahoma goes to the Elite Eight or something like that, and Trae Young is putting up 30 and 10.
Oh my goodness.
There's going to be a lot of pressure in Orlando to take him number 2 or 1.
Even at 1, if he's putting up 30 and 10 all the way, like let's say whatever he's at 28 or 29 and 10 or 9, whatever he's at right now, if he just keeps these numbers all the way through the rest of the season and the tournament, he's gonna have a strong argument for number 1. Just as the most dominant freshman season I think I've ever seen, but maybe not ever in the history of college basketball.
The only thing is probably close that I can remember is Chris Jackson.
Okay.
I was a kid when that happened. Then Shaq came the next year, and his numbers dropped a little bit, but it was.
Shaq will do that.
but I don't know. Orlando would have decisions to make, just like you said, depending on if they decide that Isaac and Gordon are they're 4 and 5 going forward.
Or the 3 and 4, yeah. It's interesting questions. I think maybe they get more of an answer as Isaac gets more play time. I thought he's been a real positive for them on the court this season, though, and the player quotes represent that too. So I think he's definitely someone they have to view as someone they draft with him in mind in their plans at this point. And Gordon obviously has played himself into the future plans.
Yeah, I think they're going to regret not signing him this summer.
Oh, for sure. It's like they're going to be paying out the ass this next summer. It's going to be awful for them.
Yep.
I love it. Get this man paid, but it's going to be awful for them.
Yeah, he peaked at the right time.
Absolutely.
The first year or two, I was questioning, like, what is his role? Where does he fit? But as the league changed, he ended up being, like, perfect for the modern-day NBA.
See, my comp from coming out, not a good comp anymore given his three-point shooting, but was Karolinko, because I thought defensively, versatility-wise, he's definitely is just all over the place. Karolinko would be scary in today's league.
Mine was Sean Marion.
Okay, very similar. Yeah.
Not as
stock heavy.
Yeah, but just does a little bit of everything. Not a guy that you're going to run a lot of plays for, but just can, because Marion was definitely the size of a 3, but he's like the first small ball 4.
Oh, yeah, D'Antoni revolutionized that.
Yeah. So that was my comparison at the time. At the time I feel like if he ends up being able to get a jump shot, and which he didn't have one at all coming into the league, and now he's pretty respectable from 3.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how his career pans out as a 4, 5, 3, whatever he is. I think it's a 4, 5, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think he's a 4. I think he's definitely a 4.
So
Orlando has too many guys at the 5 that they've paid a lot of money to. They at least have $140 million in contracts at the 5 spot, if I'm not mistaken.
So ignoring the current contracts they have, would you ideally have Gordon and Isaac as your 4-5 going forward, or would you put that as a 3-4?
Ooh, that's tough. Because I don't right now, Isaac is so skinny, I don't think he's going to be able to play the 5 for a while.
Yeah, and you're not confident that Gordon can in the meantime?
Is he, 6'8", 6'9"?
Yeah, something like that. He's thick, though.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like –
never saw him as to go from starting off playing the 3 to transition into the 5 is –
That's today's NBA.
Today's NBA.
That's today's NBA. All right, let's wrap it up with Doncic. I mean, most people I think that are going to be listening to this pod have a pretty thorough understanding of his game. He's just a maestro in the pick and roll, just many amazing things on the court.
My Doncic story was I had mentioned earlier I was in Europe last year, so I went to all the Fenerbahce EuroLeague games. Well, I shouldn't say all of them. I went to most of them, and I got a chance to watch uh, Real Madrid play Fenerbahce in Istanbul and Madrid. And I remember, like, they were one of the games in Madrid. They were literally trying to pick on him because he was so young, and it didn't work. So
It didn't work at
I
all.
mean, he was good. There were times where he struggled in the Final Four, where he looks like he was overwhelmed as a kid. But between May and June, he is a different monster. I mean, the confidence he played with at Eurobasket, and I was there. Like, I went out there, and that game against Porzingis in Latvia is one of the best games I've ever seen.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And I have a lot of friends that are interested in the draft talk, but they kind of look at him like, oh, who's this Euro? Or they watch highlights and they pick, oh, he looks slow, or he doesn't jump, or how can he guard? And man, the kid is special. And there's nobody has ever done what he's done at that age in the Euro League, which, in my opinion, and I think a lot of people who actually really, really follow basketball agree that the Euro League is better than NCAA. But
By far.
there are a lot of people who think that, that Duke could beat a EuroLeague team.
God, Real Madrid would run over Duke. It would just be ugly.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people who just kind of only follow what's going on stateside. But I mean, I like Doncic. I take him number one. I like him in Atlanta. I like him in Dallas. I actually think he may be the one guy in this draft that you can put him on any team in the top
30
and fit in. Like, you don't have to worry about.
I was going to say top 30, just maybe
Right.
top 60. He fits in everywhere.
And he could end up playing a lot of minutes at small ball 4.
See, I've seen people say that. I haven't seen enough defensively of him to say confidently that I think that. But, I mean, like, offensively, I don't see why it wouldn't work. I mean, unless, like, roster fit matters, obviously, but.
Well, I think defensively, I mean, his IQ is off the charts.
Positionally, he knows where to be.
Right. And then you can actually make a case and say he's at his best when he's getting the boards. I mean, he attacks the glass.
And just right in transition.
And wants to run. I mean, that's when in my opinion, that's one of his greatest strengths. I mean, it's kind of hard to pick out and say what he does best. But if he's playing closer to the rim and he's getting the rebound and going, I mean, it allows your point guard to run out, or he just does all the little things that make your team better. So he could play 1 through 4, in my opinion.
Okay, yeah, that kind of offensive versatility plus the defensive, just being able to fit into a scheme. He's probably not going to be an impact defender, but IQ can fit into a scheme. Kind of makes him just like a no-brainer number 1 pick.
Right, and there's even some guys that are projected 4s that aren't as strong as he is, that you can just bully. And he's, for his age, he's pretty strong. I remember one particular play last year. Fenner was trying to get post touches for Udo against Doncic, and Doncic was able to keep his position.
That's good, that lower body strength. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't look like he's frail or anything. I never really thought he was frail.
No, he's strong, but then he plays so hard. Like, I mean, there's times where the energy that he plays with, I mean, he's playing like a role player, like a 12th energy guy off the bench. That's how hard he plays. So, I'm a fan. I don't actually the place that I would love to see him at the most would be the Knicks.
Okay, yeah, I mean, him and Porzingis would just be like super fun together, especially if you're 3, 4, 5. I mean, you're probably higher on Canada than I am as far as like a long-term fixture at the center, but still a Doncic, Porzingis, Canada front court. That's just pure fun offensively.
Or I just think it would be fun for the NBA to have a team in New York that's winning with like
some
guys,
Europeans.
Yeah, from France, Turkey, Latvia.
Outlaws from the law.
I mean, to me, that would just be great for the NBA. I mean, you got the most diverse city in the country with a roster of foreigners, and they're winning. So that would just be a great story. But
Yeah,
I think he'd be a good fit there because I think Frank can play both positions, both guard positions. And then I think Doncic. I mean, you'd have two playmakers. I think Frank is going to end up being a pretty decent shooter. Yeah, I mean, I would love to see him in New York. Atlanta, I think he'd. I think Schroeder would like it. Schroeder would be able to get to score a little bit more. He doesn't have to worry about all the ball handling and the playmaking.
Yeah, he seems more like a scorer than a playmaker.
Yeah. Boston would be pretty interesting. Now that's one place where I would not like to see him go is Boston.
Yeah, not even just like a competitive standpoint, but just like I don't know that they would be able to fully maximize his talents and the talents of those around him in that system. It would take such a dramatic shift in the system.
Yeah, and talk about being redundant. They just have too many guys that are around the same height and size and versatility. So I guess Boston would be the one place I wouldn't like to see him go. Orlando, yeah, Orlando would be a good fit.
For sure.
I mean, I guess that you'd have to consider Isaac your 5 then at that point.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a lot of probably switching defense. If Doncic is as good, on post defense as you say, kind of like a Harden type on the post defense, that's a really switch friendly lineup at that point.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, I still don't like Peyton there, but there's plenty of players you could plug in at that point because Doncic can be your primary.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, like you were saying, he makes sense in a lot of places.
Yep. So you have number 1 on your draft board?
I do have him number 1 on my draft board. Yeah, right now I have him, Jaren Jackson at 2.
Oh, wow. You're that high on –
I am that high on Jaren Jackson. There's just a lot of things to like about his game. His rebounding, I think, is probably being overshadowed right now, just playing with so much other size. And his rim protection's awesome.
Yes, he's at like 3 a game, 3 blocks a game.
Something like that, yeah. He's up there. And I'm not exactly sure about their on-off numbers, but I think I recall them being much better with him on the court. And it's not like they are lacking talent when he's off the court.
Yeah, I believe he's the youngest player out of the projected first-round guys. I think he's the youngest.
Yeah, another thing to like about him, because not all projected roles, I think, youth matters as much. Like for a 3-and-D, I don't think youth matters as much as right. But for him, if you just are expecting even more growth from someone who already does a lot of little things well, that's a lot to be excited about.
Right.
So, yeah, then Jaren Jackson, then Trae Young at 3, Ayton at 4, Porter at 5, Bagley at 6, Bridges. Go ahead.
So that's a hot take. That
Bagley that low? I know. Yeah. It's because of the fit. I mean, if I think he could go top 3 if the lottery balls fall a certain way, but I think it's likely that the fit required for him is so unique that it's going to hamper his value.
Right.
And then Bridges, Sexton, or Mikal Bridges.
Okay.
Colin Sexton, Muhammad Bamba, and then Miles Bridges.
What did you have Young at?
3.
Okay, 3.
Yeah.
And that was your top 10?
That was my top 10, yes.
What do you have your next 4 for lottery?
Next 4, I'm going to have Wendell Carter in there, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Kevin Knox, I think, is going to be in there. I'm not totally sold on him. And then I want to say Justin Jackson because I was super high on him before the season, but this season I haven't seen enough of him to really be confident that he's going to be in there. So I'll go ahead and throw Robert Williams' name in there as a possibility too. Yeah,
last I looked, Jackson was struggling, but if it's due to the shoulder injury that has him out for the season, it makes sense.
Yeah, I was reading that he hurt the labrum during preseason, and I mean, if that's the case, it might actually help his draft stock because if teams can reason to themselves that he's going to be – I never bought him as a 45% or whatever that he was last year, but if they can reason he's going to be a 38 and up 3-point percent shooter on moderate volume, his defensive versatility kind of makes him worth a lottery pick.
Right. Have you had a chance to watch Brandon McCoy?
Not a ton of McCoy. I haven't got to as much of the big men. But, I mean, I've looked at his stats, and obviously his stats just stand out as just, wow, he's just dominating.
What do you think of Trayvon Duval?
Ton of potential, but I haven't necessarily liked what I saw out of him, especially in terms of creating for teammates. I thought that he could have done a better job given the teammates that he has. Uh, but I mean, potential wise, I mean, like the ceiling might be 80% of Westbrook because that athleticism he has is just really just whew.
Yeah, I had a chance his junior year in high school at the prep school he was at in Dallas. I was working for them for half the season, so I know Trayvon pretty well. And actually, I did a video. It's on YouTube. I did like a little video series on him
Okay.
about 2 years ago. He's averaging like nearly 7 assists, but then you look at Sexton, he's averaging 3 assists. So Trayvon is almost double them there.
Oh yeah, Sexton's not gonna be creating for others. I don't think either. I think he will be helped more by the transition to the NBA because they don't have a ton of shooting on Alabama. It's really him and Petty.
Yep.
So I think that with the improved spacing, his playmaking will be improved. But I don't see him as the playmaker that like Young is. Young is a clear like he's gonna make everyone around him better. I think Sexton is gonna be a great player. I'm not sold that Sexton or Duval make people around them better.
Do you back to Sexton? Is Gilbert Arenas a decent comparison for you?
Okay, with that shot creation and confidence, I see it. I mean, does he have that kind of range that Gilbert had, though?
I mean, it was developed over time.
Yeah,
Gilbert's work ethic was
legendary.
Was it like? Was he trying to make like 100,000 shots in a month or something like that? Something crazy.
Yeah, I mean, just in terms of his whole story of where he came from and where he worked to be is just he's just a constant workhorse. He dedicated his whole life up until he wasn't in the NBA anymore to the NBA for sure. Anyone with that kind of work ethic, I want on my team.
Definitely.
With that kind of work ethic, it's hard to see shooting being a trouble.
Right. What do you think of Lonnie Walker?
I think probably should go next year. He's only playing 20 minutes per game right now.
Yeah, I wonder how healthy he is. I mean, on paper he doesn't look. It's like 8 points, maybe 3 rebounds.
I think you just come back next year and improve his draft stock a ton.
Yeah.
Like it's not gonna be an issue where I think unless there's some situation I don't know about. Like if you're saying like he doesn't look 100% healthy, that's 100% possible. But if he's playing through the not healthy, that's not really going to help his draft stock.
Yeah, because I know he had the meniscus. I believe it was his meniscus in July. Then I think he twisted an ankle in the 3rd game of the year.
See, I didn't know about that one.
Yeah, I think it was against like Florida A&M or something like that. So that's kind of hampered him because he's settling for a lot of jumpers. I think almost half of his shot attempts are threes, which coming into the season, I didn't see that as a strength.
Oh, no, I was actually talking on a podcast before the season. I thought it was a weird fit because I didn't think he shot threes well.
Yeah. Nearly half of his attempts are threes. So I don't know. I mean, I've seen him high on some boards. I've seen him still in the lottery. And I wonder.
I couldn't rationalize that.
I wonder are the people doing the boards see it's just Miami's not the best fit for him as far as just maximizing the skills.
I haven't really liked a ton out of Bruce Brown, at least shooting wise. I know he had trouble in Hawaii, as Sam Vecini pointed out to me, but still, Bruce Brown and Lonnie Walker have both been disappointing to me.
But the team is playing so well.
I know. Well, Hudson's playing really well.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see how it goes once the conference play starts, but it's like neither guy has looked very impressive on paper.
I'm sorry, Hudson's on Florida. That was a brain fart by me. I'm sorry.
I know it's big you're talking about, the big guy.
Yeah. But yeah, go on.
But yeah, just the team looks good. They're winning.
Yeah, it is kind of hard to discount players on individual accolades when the team is playing well. But then you got players at Villanova who, like Mikal Bridges, who have an awesome-looking team and are doing awesome individually.
Yep. In
So
Miami, 10-1.
they might be. I'm not exactly sure. That sounds about right. Last time I saw it was somewhere around there. So yeah.
Yep. Have you had a chance to watch? And I can't pronounce his name. I've actually seen him play in person a couple of times. The Dazan Musa.
I have not got to see him like at all. I still need to check him out. I was planning on checking him out this next week when I was doing my small forward boards.
I saw him play last year at the under 18, so it was in December. FIBA under 18s. Ntilikina was also in that tournament. Isaiah Hartenstein played.
Mm-hmm.
I remember like saying like this kid shoots it every time. Like he put his head down. He played with a lot of confidence. And one of the notes I had written down was shot selection is just terrible. But he had like 2 green lights. Like he could pull up and do whatever he wants.
The double green light. I love it.
And I mean, his scoring numbers were good. And so I watched him earlier this year, and it's like he's playing in a system. He's playing with pros, and all his bad habits have it's like he's actually fitting in, which was kind of shocking to me because I only saw him as like he was playing the point on those teams. But now he's playing a little bit off the ball. I mean, the team that he's with, they've done a good job in developing him.
That's good to hear. I always like when I hear that players can succeed in multiple roles. Usually means that they're not full of themselves, for one.
Yeah, I mean, but like just watching him, I just thought like he's full of himself just because of the way he played. I mean, he had a little flair to his game and a lot of pounding the ball, step backs, tough shots. But I mean, his teammates weren't. I mean, they weren't any good. But seeing him fit in a system and playing with pros, it's definitely made his stock go up in my eyes.
Yeah, for sure. I think anytime you see someone succeed against grown men, especially in a system, like, I mean, I don't know the exact system he's running, but most European systems, I mean, there's not much room for freelance.
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah. Okay. Any other players you want to talk about?
Nope. That's about it. I mean, I guess we could finish the rest of the first round or guys that we have projecting the top 30 at another time.
Oh yeah, that sounds perfect, man. All right. It was awesome talking to you, Rafael. Everyone, this is Rafael Barlowe. He's the founder of NBA Draft Junkies. That's NBADraftJunkies.com. Anything else you want to plug before we head out?
Nope, that's it. I plan to have the site fully launched within the next week or so. There's a couple things I want to add, just as far as proofreading. I think I'll probably having about 80 profiles done, and then I'll just slowly start adding video content to the profile. So I've been working on it for a while. I started last year, and then I totally redesigned the site in about September, and I've just been working every day trying to watch as much film as possible and get as much information on the players. So if there's any grammatical errors, I'm working on that. So be patient, and it's a lot of work, but
yeah, it is a ton of work, everybody. Like when he says be patient with the grammatical errors, I cannot reflect that sentiment enough. I regret not having an editor for the draft guide I did last year. I'm going back through it now, and it does not look good.
Yeah.
Anyways, awesome to talk to you, Rafael, and I'm definitely going to have you back on. It was.
All right.
Have an excellent day, man.
Cool. My pleasure. Thank you.